troubles if Delilah comes over too.
Oh, because maybe he was like, it's a baby, and I know it's a baby. Oh, man, that would be like, can we get a second dog?
It's a little baby. Yeah, no, we don't want a second dog, 'cause it's hard, man.
I mean, at least you,
Wait, you got a deep? No, that's my sister's. Oh,
Mini me.
it's Mini Charlie. Dell's girlfriend calls it Charlie and Little Charlie.
It is.
And she's Portuguese, she can't remember all these stupid names.
Recording in progress.
All right, I'll call to order the Tuesday, December 2nd meeting of the Eastham Select Board. This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over local access channel 8 and through the town website at www.eastham-ma.gov. All right, so we have to start, of course, with my joke. And today's joke even made my grandsons groan, but anyway.
Really, and you're still
I'm still going to
rolling
do
out?
it, yep.
Okay.
Why did the man name his dog 5 Miles? So he could legitimately tell his doctor he walked 5 miles every day.
Actually, that's not a bad one.
That's not bad, well, that's,
we appreciate it.
Not nearly as bad as some of them.
glad, I'm
Yeah.
so glad. Now, before we get to the agenda, any select board information that's not on the agenda?
Oh,
Anyone? Oh,
Turnip Fest was a great success. They had almost 1,000 people through the door,
It's quite amazing.
and the Friends sell merch that benefits the Friends. And they had also a quite productive
Yeah.
day, and yeah.
Highest ever, I think.
That's
Yeah.
a short amount of hours for all those people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The health department turkey giveaway also was very successful.
Was it? That's great. The duck race was great, and it was so great to see the kids there. Most of them had turnips painted on their face because they had been to the library, and they had fun with it and giving away turkeys and pies, and the kids get to pull the ducks out. It was a great time. So all of it worked well. So
Oh, and we
hats off to the turnip committee and to the rec department and everyone else who had anything to do with that.
And I think we have another town event this week,
Yes.
Saturday.
Holiday on the Green.
Holiday on the Green. Does
How-
anyone
right.
have
Coming up fast.
any more
Yeah,
details
they
to?
decorated the little
Gingerbread house.
tea booths, yeah.
Did they do those already?
Yeah, they've started for sure. They're definitely, it's looking festive over there. And the Festivus pole is
Ed
up.
was supposed to
Festivus
call
pole
me.
is
Pole's
up.
up, all right. I drove by the other day, I was like,
The menorah's up, baby Jesus is in place. You
Yeah,
know,
we're good.
all is well.
When's Light Up the Night?
That's it,
Is this
right?
next Saturday?
This Saturday,
This Saturday?
the
Right.
6th at
5:30, I don't know.
4, 5, 5, 5.
5?
See, I was guessing
Light Up the Night
5:30.
at 5. Okay, so there we go. Light Up the Night, 5 at the Green, the Windmill Green. So show up. Songs, I'm sure there'll be some refreshments and songs, etc. Good time by all. And anyone in the general public wants anything to say that's not on the agenda, speak now or forever hold your peace. Anyone online? No? Okay, so we'll go right to the agenda. The Chief and Deputy Chief Police are here to talk about police accreditation. So, please, whichever one
Yes.
wants to start, make sure.
My daughter's in college in Boston. I sent her a bad dad joke every day.
Oh, that's good.
The bigger the eye roll, the better the joke.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you for having us here tonight. We won't take a lot of your time. I'm sure you've all heard me talk about police accreditation before. I feel like we've been talking about it our whole lives. It's been a long process, but we have successfully achieved full police accreditation as of October this year. We had a team of assessors from the Mass Police Accreditation Commission in our station for 3 days back in April, going over all of our policies, some parts of our building, speaking to our staff. They call that the accreditation assessment. That goes on for 3 days. They reviewed that report over the summer, and we were awarded accreditation in October at a luncheon out in Marlborough. Just in a nutshell, police accreditation is it's a voluntary process. It's not required by the state. It's something we opted to enter into. And we have to meet a set of standards set by the Mass Police Accreditation Commission. And really what that is committing to the highest standards of professionalism in policing. Less than a third of the police departments in Massachusetts are fully accredited, and only 4 other departments on Cape Cod are accredited. We're becoming the 5th. In addition to aligning our policies and our operations with those standards, we also have to agree to allow inspections, if you will, of those standards going forward. So in 3 years, we need to open our doors again, and in somewhat, it can be more of a difficult process to actually prove that the policies that we implemented and the operations that we implemented, we have been following, and we get reaccredited every 3 years. I want to thank Deputy Chief Deschamps. I'm going to ask him to speak on the whole process just briefly in a second, but he is our accreditation manager. He has been our accreditation manager for 10 years, a little more.
10 or 11.
We were a certified agency before we were fully accredited, which is kind of like step 1 to getting to accreditation. He has been working tirelessly over the last couple of years to get us to this point. This would not have been possible without all of his work, whether it's, amending policies, writing new policies, working with staff to change operations that we're doing. The hard work that he's put into this really, it wouldn't have been possible without all of his hard work. So I'm going to ask him to just go over the process real quick, explain that, and then I'll wrap up with a couple of things.
Thank you. Like the chief said, certification is kind of the first step of the accreditation process. It's a significant milestone to achieve towards getting fully accredited. And a little bit of the backstory for our department is we got certified in 2016. And then what happens once you're certified is every 3 years, that assessment team or a assessment team will come and reassess your department. And those are kind of the more stressful assessments because it's easy to kind of put everything in writing and say, this is what we're going to do. But the reassessments are when they come back to make sure everything is in practice and you can prove compliance with all of it. So we were able to get recertified in 2019, and then we were up again to get recertified in 2022, which just prior to that is when the chief came and spoke to me about if he thought it would be possible for us to achieve full accreditation. Not for the 2022 assessment, because it was approaching very quickly. So we achieved that one and then started working towards full accreditation, which unfortunately happened to align with when the Accreditation Commission rewrote all the standards. And they came out with the 6th edition, so we had to go back and kind of redo all of our original ones. And just to kind of describe the 2 parts of the process, certification has 178 mandatory standards that you have to meet. And some of the standards might be a 1-sentence standard. It might be as simple as a new hire has to take an oath of office before they perform any police duties. But some of the standards are 6 pages long and have 17 bullet points that you have to hit. So the number of standards is kind of deceiving because there's simple ones and then there's very complicated ones. But the certification process, basically those 178 standards, like I said, that's a significant milestone because those standards are based on the high liability, high risk situations, public safety situations, and operational efficiency. So once you achieve that, if you do want to go to full accreditation, you have to meet 96 more mandatory standards. And then based on the size of your department, there's optional standards that you have to meet, which for us was 66. And so that's what, like the chief was describing, we were able to do during that assessment process last April. And then 3 years from now, we'll be reassessed again. So like I said, that's another challenging part because that's when they come back to make sure that we're still doing all the stuff that we put into paper. But
I want to recognize all of the staff at the police department for this award. This really would not have been possible without the buy-in and the cooperation of all the, not just the officers, but the dispatchers, the civilian staff. There are departments that struggle to get this done because of pushback from staff. And we had quite the opposite. I asked the officers that are on duty tonight to come. One had to leave already for a call. You know, I can't say enough about their willingness to adapt and kind of as we molded our department into this process. It could have been a lot more difficult or not possible at all without them. So I applaud them all for that. And lastly, I want to thank Rich. Rich made the trek out to Marlboro with us to receive the award. He was obviously busy schedule this time of year with budgeting and everything, but he was able to adjust his schedule. And, you know, we appreciate the buy-in from our staff, but our staff also recognizes the buy-in from town management as well. And that means a lot to everybody, and they see that. So thank you, Rich. Happy to answer any questions. It's a big topic, but that's really what we have for you.
So I have one, just, you know, sometimes when you reach a level like that, opens up grant opportunities or different things like that. Is that something that is a possibility in the future?
So that's always a question that's asked, and as of right now, there is no, you know, magical grant opportunity that comes up just because you are accredited. However, in some of the grants we apply for, there are policy requirements that you have to show. And this accreditation should put our policies in alignment with any of those various grants that we may have been there already before, but it kind of just tightens it all up. There is no accreditation grant, if you will, though, specifically.
But it could help with other grants that.
It could, and I think it lowers our liability in our department because we're doing the best practice of, you know, police policies. We've implemented them and we're following them. I'd like to think that it may attract good employees to come work for us because we have already done this and we're showing that we're committed to excellence.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was my question going to be, is it going to help with recruitment at all? It may.
I hope so. You know, if there's a lot of job openings right now, so if you're someone that's looking for a job and you're studying departments carefully, every little bit helps. So hopefully that would attract some people.
We have had like potential candidates to bring it up in the interview process, say that when they looked into our department, they saw that we were at the time certified and that piqued their interest in our
That's
department.
great. That's good. All right.
Did you have something?
Thanks.
Go ahead,
I was just
Jamie.
curious what you thought were kind of the three biggest points that you had to achieve with the certification, like maybe the top three things that you're most proud of that are associated with this level of.
That's a great question. I think a lot of talk was made back, 2020 and beyond about use of force by police departments. And maybe actually one of the things I'm most proud of is because we already had a lot of those policies in effect, we didn't have to make a lot of change. We were already in line with what the changes were to become. So I think I like to think we're ahead of it a little bit. We were already committing to that before we were, told what we had to commit to. I think just a general professionalizing of the whole department, our whole operation. Everything has a policy. I think the officers like that. I think they make traffic stops every day. That's a routine thing for them. But sometimes things pop up that aren't routine, and they can refer back to the policies. The policies are well-written. They're very clear on what they need to do, notifications they need to make. So kind of a flow chart, if you will, for whatever comes up. I think that's important as well. So I think, I don't know if I can point to three little specific things, but just the overall picture. I think I feel more comfortable with the direction and the written guidance that we have.
I would add to it, kind of goes on with what the chief was saying, we were lucky with the buy-in that we got from our staff because a lot of those standards required new reports to be done, new annual analyses to be done, new inspections to be done more frequently than they were before. And, I kind of felt bad in the beginning because I'm just firing out emails to, our evidence officer saying that we now need to do so many inspections a year and to just our sergeants that they had to do more analysis on certain things, stuff they didn't have to do before, and we didn't get any pushback from anybody. There was no, which some departments have run into roadblocks with that and haven't been able to get past it. So I think it's a real testament to our staff that they were all on board and there wasn't. I mean, there might have been some complaining behind my back, but there was no complaining straight up to us.
That's great.
There may have been some jokes about his emails going around. But
I just had one question. It was kind of like a little bit like Jamie's. What was the biggest stretch thing that you had to do? What was the hardest thing that you had to do in order to be able to create this compliance?
I think we could probably go all the way back to when we got certified, the initial steps, we had to make some changes to our building, which are some of the harder things to get done, financially and getting, people in to do the work. For example, we had to have an outdoor evidence storage building for, things that are, fireworks, things that are flammable, which we didn't have. So we had to get over some of those hurdles. Further on in the process, a lot of it is just either implementing new written policy or changing existing policy to be in compliance. So that becomes a little easier to do as long as you have the support of the staff.
Interesting.
Great.
So
Suzanne.
it sounds like this touched parts of policing that I don't think I thought of like a storage locker that isn't flammable.
So the
Which now that
building
you,
won't explode.
so the building won't explode, and that seems really obvious now that you say it, and I commend you for doing it. Change is hard, especially if people are used to doing it a certain way, and then you ask them to change it. It's a struggle regardless of what the change is, and I was wondering if there were any education required, like education standards?
Training.
Training or education standards that changed as a result of this, or you could just
There was-
generally talk about?
Yeah, there's quite a few trainings that we were actively, we've always been a department that focused on training, so we were doing them, but maybe not annually, and so some of them we had to start doing annually, and more of our policies need to get sent out to, way back when we started, you'd read a policy, sign off on it, and then you'd never see it again.
That's
So,
relatable.
and there still are some small policies that might be like that, you sign off on when you get hired, and then you never see them again, but it's a lot more policies that get sent out on a yearly basis or biannually that people need to review. They have tests linked to them, they have training, like PowerPoint trainings linked to them. And all of that is required by the standards, but it's also, they're all required for a reason, like we might not have been doing it as frequently as we should have, and that's making us do it. And then when we get reassessed, we have to prove each year of the assessment period that we did all the trainings that are required. And obviously, like the chief said, the commission put together these standards, so a lot of thought and research was put into what areas should get the majority of the training. And
This really encompasses every single little nook and cranny of the work that is done at the department. Every Tuesday morning, our emergency generator starts up and runs a test on itself. We have to document that to show that we have a generator that functions in case of power outage. So it's literally every single little piece is touched somehow by it. So he's right that the staff, there's a lot more work after implementing this, and they willingly accepted that and moved forward with it.
That's great. As a lawyer, I really appreciate it. It might reduce our liability. I think that's fantastic. So thank you. Anything else? All right. Thank you for coming.
job.
Thank you.
We
Thanks a lot.
appreciate it, and hope we have a nice, safe, happy holiday season. It's already begun. All right.
And presumably they posted about it on their Facebook?
Oh, yeah, that one got posted back in October, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
sweet.
Oh, you know what? Wayne was trying to get that award simply. How about both of you hold it up here so Wayne can get a nice picture of it so people can see? Can you see him?
Thank
There he
you.
is.
Red
All
light
right.
on?
We,
Yeah, that's
we
nice.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
All right, next on the agenda, Linda Sassy, our town clerk, talking about proposed amendments for regulatory board appointments. Thank you, Linda. Make sure the green light's on. You got the floor.
Hi there. Thanks for giving me this time. This kind of started off as emails between the search committee, myself, Jackie. We kind of went back and forth. It all boiled down to the origins of whether or not part-time residents could be on the 4 regulatory boards. So, we couldn't, I looked in everywhere. I looked in the charter, I looked in the home rules, I looked everywhere. We didn't have it. We didn't have a vote anywhere in any town meeting or any select board meeting or any policy for that matter. So it was just a matter of, I went to Jackie, I said, well, I guess the select board would just have to vote on it. So that's kind of what I typed up for you, was that the 4 regulatory boards, which consists of the Conservation Commission, Board of Health, Planning Board, and Zoning Board of Appeals, can only consist of members who are full-time residents. A full-time resident is defined as someone whose primary domicile is the town of Eastham and spends a total of more than 183 days of the year in Eastham, including days spent partially in Eastham, which is the Mass state definition of a full-time resident. So that's part 1. I don't know if you want me to go through all 3 or what. So the other part of this is the chair. We've had some folks asking about the regulatory boards and whether or not the chair should be in person for these types of meetings. So I typed that up too as number 2. The chair of each regulatory board meeting must be in person for each meeting unless there is an illness or disability that prevents them from chairing the meeting in person. If they're unable to chair the meeting in person, the vice chair should chair the meeting. And that's what you guys do.
Right. One question on that, Linda, from me, and I don't know if anyone else has one. So the regulatory boards cannot have a Zoom meeting.
Yes, they all do.
They all can.
They all do now.
If they do now, then I don't understand the necessity for number 2.
Just the chair is what they're
Just the
saying.
chair.
So the chair has to be
In person.
in person
It's a hybrid meeting.
somewhere here in a hybrid. So you can never have an all Zoom meeting. It has to be a hybrid meeting.
You could have an all Zoom meeting.
But if there's a hybrid meeting, it's too difficult for the chair to be on Zoom and have people
Everybody else.
in
Here,
place.
that's right. I
So
I
it's-
understand.
It's the both. If you're all remote or all in person, we have no problems. But when we start to combine the
Right.
two, it's nice to have the person running the meeting.
At the meeting.
be-
Okay. Can we adjust number 2?
You guys can do anything you want.
This was, ultimately, this was
ultimately
your policy.
This was the policy, right. If it's an all, Zoom is probably not the right.
So you just want to say the,
Hybrid.
in the event of a hybrid meeting,
meeting,
the chair
chair
of
must
the
be
regular
present.
board must be in person.
Right, if not, the vice chair must be in person
Yes.
in a
Right.
hybrid meeting. We can change it to say, yeah, that would, that answers my question.
Yeah, yeah.
Does anyone have any other question before we go on to have Linda go to number 3? Jamie?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I know we voted on that, but, I mean, it's just you need to revote as far as like the,
Actually, I
Yeah,
hadn't
because we
seen
couldn't.
it anywhere.
Couldn't find.
I think I know we talked about it
Yeah. Talked about it.
extensively, but we could not find a vote.
No,
So
nowhere.
we should just have a vote. I mean,
Yeah.
and since it's a select board appointment, the select board can
Yeah, select board,
do
It's
this.
your
It's
policy.
our policy.
It's a
since
policy.
there are appointments. Okay, number 3,
okay,
Linda?
3 is just, there's already a town policy that boards and committees should reorganize at the beginning of the fiscal year or the soonest meeting after the July 1st by a vote of its members. The select board encourages regulatory boards to rotate the roles of each committee member. We're finding that that's not the case with certain boards.
so maybe by taking this vote today, it will, I would imagine, refresh these regulations, and what would be the best process for kind of informing every board and committee of
I think we
this?
just send out the policy.
Right,
And then, again, the wording of this is that they still get to choose if they want to retain the same chair, but at least they're making an intentional choice
Right,
every
they
year.
have to vote each
Yeah.
year, yeah.
right, yeah.
Okay.
Bob?
Not suggesting this, just should we be thinking about term limits on any of this?
There are.
It's a
Three terms.
three terms, right? Unless there's a,
Unless you guys
Unless we
extend
say
it.
it's okay.
extend it, or if no one has applied for that. I think that was a change in the charter. If no one has applied for a vacancy, the person can, I
Get
guess,
one
be
year.
reappointed. It's automatic in the charter.
For a year.
That will come
For a
up.
year,
For
that
a
would be a
year.
That
hold.
will come up this,
Right.
in 2026.
That's known as a holdover. They
So,
get a
Yeah,
holdover year.
I mean, I realize how difficult it is for some committees to get people to be on these committees, especially the regulatory boards, because it's a big time commitment.
Right.
However, you know, it's kind of gotten to be where some of these committees, you find people are on them for 15 years.
Yeah. New thoughts, new ideas, that's the idea for term limits, and we encourage, well, it's required, and we encourage people to volunteer to be on these committees.
Right, and I think that's why this was coming from the search committee. They have a couple of new members on the search committee, and they were like, look, we're trying to get people interested, but they're seeing the people on these committees and nobody's moving.
Right.
And they're like, well, you know, I don't want to be an alternate for 6 years waiting to be a member.
I understand.
Search committee a little more.
So,
Sue Marin
So we would like to-
is on, she said she's on Zoom. I don't know if she wants to speak to that, because she is the one who
I
brought
can
all
make
this
a
up.
motion, and then we can agree on the
Right.
motion, and then we can kind of move forward from there and see if
yep,
that's a
go ahead, Jamie.
So I would make a motion to, as written in our packet, accept one as written, right? Accept two with a modification that in the event of a hybrid meeting, the chair of the committee must be present.
Yeah, just put in the event of a hybrid meeting right before the chair, right? That would do it. Mhm.
Yep. And then three as written.
Second.
A second, Amy's a second.
All right,
Further discussion.
all right.
I don't know if
Sue, if you
If
want to say anything.
Sue would like to say
Raise your little
anything?
Zoom hand.
I just have another question.
Oh,
on
no,
two.
we'll go to Bob, Sue, hang on, go ahead.
The chair must be either sick or disabled, or they have to be here. I don't know if that's necessarily true, right?
Because there's vice chairs, right? Could a vice chair not chair the meeting?
Yeah.
So
automatic.
really
It just, it just.
Yeah.
Like, we
to me,
don't
it's-
care if they're sick or
Well,
disabled.
that's why
Right.
I'm asking, because it seems to me,
Right.
if they are
Okay.
I mean, we
unable to
care because
attend,
we
why don't we
care
change
about
the
that.
wording?
Yeah.
They
So-
could be on vacation or something.
So let's talk, so we have, in the event of a hybrid meeting, the chair of each regulatory board must be in person for each meeting, period.
Or,
If they are unable to chair the meeting in person, the vice chair should chair the meeting, period.
Perfect.
That's it. So
There
just
we go.
Done.
knock out the unless clause, and you got it.
Yeah, because the intention is that the person in the room chairs the meeting.
Right.
Because it does somewhat read that they could chair it virtually if they had an illness or a disability.
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
I see.
So we've just
So
got
now
it.
does not.
That's good. Sue is, if you would like to say something, Sue, I think you're on mute right at the moment.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add. I appreciate the clarity as we learned from the police discussion. Having some clarity is really useful, and I learned a lot about the history from Jackie and Linda of how these things came into play, and they were all great stories and made perfect sense. But we were just looking for something. I was actually asked directly by a part-time resident, where does it say that? And I said, well, of course it says that. And then we started looking, and it didn't. So this will be really helpful.
Oh, yes, tomorrow you can show them here where it is said, yes.
All right. So
Thank
we
you.
have
Thank you. Any other? The motion is accept one, accept three, accept 2 with adding in the event of a hybrid meeting before the first sentence and eliminating the useless clause in the first sentence. That sounds kind of funny, but yes, that's what it is. All right? Okay, we'll go to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? 5-0. Linda, thank you very much for
Thank you.
bringing this to our attention. Thank you, Sue, for bringing it up, and it's now done, and someplace in writing. Erica will have it in writing for us on the minutes, all right? All right,
In our
thank you.
policies.
All right, now we go down to the one-day liquor license for Sirens and Sailors LLC, doing business as Sirens and Sailors at 4500 State Highway, the old Artichoke place. Wanting a license for December 4th, Thursday the 4th, from 5:30 to 7 for wine and malt. And the question we always ask on this, because if we do it 5:30 to 7, that's it. Would you like it a little bit, to have a buffer zone on either side, or is it 5:30 to 7 is exactly what you want?
5:30 to 7.
5:30 to maybe like
7:30.
7:30.
7:30.
5:30 to 7:30?
Just in case, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
yes.
Tiffany Blunt. I'm the new executive director for the Chamber of Commerce. So
Hi.
this is, of course, for the business after hours that we partner with. And
I'm Haley.
Haley is.
I'm the owner of Sirens and Sailors.
Nice.
That's excellent. Everything was pretty clear, so this will be for now we'll do it from 5:30 to 7:30.
Okay, thank
Perfect.
you.
PMs, not
Yes.
AM.
Yes. That would be crazy.
Mimosas and Bloody Marys?
What can I
It
say?
starts at 8.
Starts at 8.
All right, I'll make a motion
question?
to approve the one-day liquor license.
Second.
Second, any further discussion? And that motion is for 5:30 to 7:30, right?
5:30 to 7:30 on the 4th.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Well, you have it. Now you
Thank
can
you,
have a party.
everybody.
Coming in.
And
Have
we
fun.
will end
Not
up
too much.
we'll end up signing this thing, so you'll be all set.
Can I,
Okay, what's
can I
next?
go, I'm really sorry. I have
What?
our,
No, we can, it'll be signed tonight, and then you can pick it up tomorrow or whenever we can drop it off maybe even, so. Good luck.
Thank you.
so, I know we just voted the policy on the chair being chair in person, and I want, Karen, I thought Karen and Conservation Commission still had all remote meetings. And Karen, the chair of our Conservation Commission, has been chairing the meetings from home on Zoom. And she does actually fit unless there is an illness or disability that prevents them from chairing the meeting in
True,
person.
but they're all remote. It's not hybrid.
She
Just
just,
one person that comes and sits here, I think.
she said that,
That's right, I forgot about him.
okay, so she said that Alex, it's usually just Alex at town hall and the, whatever applicants and abutters.
Staff doesn't count.
Staff doesn't count. Okay,
Yeah,
so
well,
everyone else, so
everyone
all
is
the
still
members are,
remote then, 'cause even if
Right,
it's
all
one
the
person,
committee
it's-
members are
yeah.
remote, so
So
that's
it's a
fine.
non-issue.
That's, yep.
You do
Okay.
count, though, a lot.
okay, just checking. Okay, I just,
Okay,
On to Beano.
okay.
That
Thanks.
was close, though. That was a good outlier. Thank goodness she's
Right.
paying attention.
right.
No, it rung a bell in my brain, and I was like, I should
Yeah.
maybe just double
If,
check.
and if there's, when you write regs and so forth, if there's an issue, you can look at it and try and fix it.
And just remember, this is a policy of yours.
Yeah.
It is not a regulation. You can
Right.
change it anytime you want.
Okay,
Right. So we can always go back and fix it.
okay, all right.
Next.
Wonderful, thank you.
One-day game license for the Orleans Eastham Elks.
Oh, they're having bingo.
Bingo on New Year's Day.
Beano.
Beano.
Beano, which
sorry,
is like
sorry.
bingo, yes.
Beano
No.
is the.
Jamie researched it.
Beano
Research it.
was the original name of the carnival game that was renamed Bingo after our players' excited slip of the tongue mispronounced it, so
We think there was alcohol involved.
we think that it was Beano.
Potentially, that's okay, whatever.
And
don't know.
just one slip of the tongue made
I
bingo
guess.
better than Beano?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I can see yelling.
What,
No.
what's in our packet says that they're virtually the same, so we'll do that. Anyway,
Okay.
so do I have a motion to grant the one-day game license for the Orleans Eastham Elks Lodge 2572 for January 1, 2026?
So moved.
Have a second? All right, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
None? 5-0, that's done. Okay, on to administrative matters. We have vessel storage, revised lottery rules. And we had this discussion, Amy brought it up first a while back. And it looks to me, the difference is only if you try and cheat with, that's a wrong term. If you put in,
Pretty much, if you try to game the system.
if you try and game the system, you're gonna be out of the lottery for the year, for that year.
Yeah. So I did have quite a long discussion with Scott Richards, our harbor master, about this. And, initially I'd proposed, letting people, or making people just do one number for each person. But he said it's really they'd have to each apply separately, and then keeping track of, people in the same household would be much more difficult. Plus, he had a really good point that he would rather people go out in pairs, if they're out in the water.
For safety.
So I can't argue with that. And last thing I want to do is make more work for them. Because this is just, the only people really complaining are the people that don't win.
Of course.
I don't complain, it's just,
Okay.
Bob,
I think we need to, or should, combine number 2 and 5 into one statement. One entry per household, multiple entries per household are not allowed.
Fair enough.
Just like merge 5 into 2.
Yeah.
yep,
I agree.
Yeah.
and number 6, 7, and 8 become 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. But yeah, he was being nice in only taking the first entry, and I'm like, yeah, no. I'm sorry, if there's people that are putting multiple in, hoping to get extra numbers,
That's true.
makes more work for them to try to find them.
Not only that, if you take just one, they had greater chances of getting pulled out, so they were gaming the system. All right, do I have a motion to accept the change and to also merge item 2 and item 5?
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? 5-0. All right, that's good.
And coming up, February 14th is when, I think, or 15th, when it opens.
Valentine's Day, huh?
Yep.
Update on budget status. Go ahead, Rich, I guess, or
Yes,
should
it
you-
is.
All right, Rich, it's yours.
No, thanks. It's been a challenging process. I don't know if you've been following along, but starting in the summer with the Finance Committee, we start the next fiscal year planning all over again. We've done updates on various reserve funds, our OPEB liability. We do a financial projection for the next 5 years on the impacts to operating budgets. We do a look back at the close of the prior fiscal year so we can establish our financial position coming into the new budget. And then in the fall, we start with the capital budget and then work our way into the operating budget. And as of today, the draft of the capital budget should be up on the website by tomorrow. I've sent it out to the Finance Committee, and it'll be a topic of their next meeting to go over the capital budget. And at the moment, we finalized a draft. I've met with all the department heads and gone over the operating budget. And the good news to report there is that, well, good and bad. Good in that we are balanced by a thread based on our 2026 collective bargaining agreements. But we have accounted for inflation in all other areas of the budget, like especially on the transfer station and transportation costs, and provided for a 3% increase for each of the schools. The bad news is we won't be operating under last year's collective bargaining agreements. We're in negotiations with all 5 of our employee unions, and we will have new agreements that provide for, we've provided for steps, but we haven't necessarily provided for cost of living adjustments, of which there will be of some amount. And so those collective bargaining agreements, and we've spoken to each of our unions about this, is that we're looking to have them be competitive in our area with wages, but whatever it is that we agree to, is going to be subject of an override at town meeting, and so we have to be conscious of that when we try to get to agreement. But back to the sheet here that I handed out to you at the beginning of the meeting. The first thing I just wanted to, since the capital budget draft is pretty much done, just wanted to give you a quick update on that. As you may recall, we have $400,000 of tax levy that goes to our equipment and vehicle replacement programs for each of our departments. And so that continues to be the case. That $400,000 is now a bit short from when that was implemented over 5 years ago. So we're supplementing those replacement programs with free cash. And so when we get to talk about overrides, one of the considerations might be to supplement the tax levy funding of the capital plan. It's been a very successful program in the sense that since I've been here, we have not had to go out to borrow or bond for any what I'd consider a routine capital replacement, which costs over $100,000 now with a bond counsel and financial advisory fees to issue bonds, plus the interest that you pay on them, for things that we can reasonably and easily pay for if we're doing it prospectively. Free cash is sufficient this year. We had a very high certification for a number of reasons I went over with the Finance Committee. And that largely supports our capital program, especially the building maintenance, repair and maintenance funding. However, again, with inflation and the rising costs, several years ago when we started these programs, it was probably about $1 million, $1.2 million of free cash required every year to fund these programs. Our recurring need for free cash, if you look at the 5-year capital plan, is now approaching about $2 million per year. So we're getting to a point where we need to generate a lot of free cash just to fund the capital programs, and that's just something we should keep in mind as we move forward. We don't anticipate any borrowing this fiscal year, other than for the wastewater project, but nothing for capital. However, we do have some things coming down the pike that we've been working on for FY28. We've been working for several years and had a lot of grant funding for various town landings, 4 different town landings, and those will be coming to the point where we can move forward with actual construction, which will also be largely funded by grants, hopefully, but will require some degree of match, and since they're expensive projects, the match can also be quite expensive too.
What about the library roof? Is that?
That's, at the moment, being evaluated by engineers, so we don't know where it stands yet. We do think, I think, Jackie, correct me if I'm wrong, that we are hopeful that there is a fix that can happen, that we can afford within our our building maintenance and repair program, because we have been funding it, and if that fix works, then we won't need to do the borrowing.
Okay, is that for FY 27 or 28?
FY '27, so I honestly, literally just checked my email and it's there. They asked the cost estimate for the engineering work, so the timeline we gave them was the town meeting timeline, so I should know, including a cost estimate before we have to go to print with the warrant, so we'll know.
And then the other big project, and these are for FY20, I would say are kind of along the discretionary line of thinking, but we've been working for a number of years and getting to a point on Route 6 engineering and design work, and if we want to get on the state transportation improvement program or plan, the TIP plan, we will need to do some level of design to get it to that point before they'll accept us into the program. So those are some of the big ticket items coming up potentially for next year. But all in all, the capital budget is funded for this year, and things are looking good, and we've got a good 5-year projection. And I just want to remind everybody, like a lot of places, we do try to put everything in the plan. So every piece of equipment, every vehicle, every building is in that plan with some amount of dollars committed to it. So nobody has to wonder if, well, I like these items, but what's not on there that you're not telling us about? And as much as we know, we've put into that plan. So I think it's a pretty solid plan. And we have, at the bottom of that plan, how we plan to pay for it. So if you are interested in that type of thing and want to know when potential bonding might happen, you can go and look at that plan. We also have sufficient free cash to keep up our progress on funding our reserves. So our stabilization fund, we're looking to add to, just because as the budget increases, the percentage required increases, but also to provide for some level of funding for our elementary school and sped costs to help stabilize those on a year-to-year basis if needed. And we will continue our practice of the unbudgeted short-term rental receipts going into our wastewater stabilization fund to continue to build that up as we go towards implementation. And smaller contributions, but just for your knowledge, to the extent you weren't aware, we do contribute to our other post-employment benefits fund, try to keep seeding that every year. It's fully invested, and hopefully will be helped to offset costs of retiree health insurance. And the IOD stands for injured on duty. We're trying to build up a fund to get to a point that if we have a significant public safety officer or firefighter injured on duty, we're by law required to pay for them. And sometimes those cases can go on for, usually they're short, 2 weeks to 30 days, but they can go on up to, I've seen it up towards 5 years, not here, but in other towns. They're difficult cases to manage and get to resolution. So this fund, typically what happens is we have to pay overtime to fill that person's shift, but still pay for that person. So we kind of want to self-insure that circumstance. And if that person is out, we can utilize this fund without impacting the operating budget. So we'll continue to build that up. And then compensated absence funds just is a source of money, so we don't have to spike up operating budgets on a year-to-year basis because we think we're going to have to pay out some vacation time for a long-time employee that might be retiring. This kind of keeps everything even keel. And then we'll still have some money left over if between now and the warrant development comes up and we have some pilot projects or some special one-time programs or want to contribute to some housing or taxpayer assistance programs, we will have some money available to be able to do some of that as well. Which brings me to the operating budget. Like I said, it is balanced based on our existing collective bargaining agreements, but anything that we agree to on these agreements will have to go to an override. This is not unique to Eastham, across the state, really, but more acutely across Cape Cod. Significant inflation in areas of vendors and contractors, insurance, and utilities, wages, and benefits. And it's just virtually impossible to maintain those costs under a 2.5% or 3% without reducing something else. And so you gave us instructions to fund a level services budget, and we were able to achieve that, but not with the negotiated collective bargaining agreements that will be coming into place. And I suspect the schools are going to have similar challenges, so that's why I put on here that we've provided a 3% for education, but not likely to be sufficient. Not quite in the order here, but a couple down, item D. We did get enrollment figures for the schools, and that shift in enrollment, that enrollment shift, always, again, another good reason for having some extra money in the stabilization fund if you have a one-time, when you think might be a one-time shift. This year, our enrollment went up about a percentage point, and that alone, based on the prior year's budget, results in about a $300,000 increase in our assessment.
It's the regional.
To the regional assessment. We also have, if it wasn't hard enough managing our own local issues, the state's come up with some new regulations on inspections for short-term rentals. And so, Jackie will give you the details on this, but we likely have the need to hire building inspectors under the building commissioner, and perhaps even fire inspectors to do inspections on short-term rentals. And this all comes from lobbying groups and in response to, we had a local death out of state, a local person that passed away in New York due to a fire that wasn't properly inspected and didn't have smoke detectors. So those would be, on top of our level services budget, that would be an add. But those are mandated, unfunded mandates from state legislation. Then in addition, going through the process, you've heard about some of these, but meeting with department heads, we've had several requests, and I'm just presenting them here for your consideration. So as we go through the process, we can consider whether these things ought to be added or if we can't actually do them. Jackie's has spoken to you before about preschool program. It doesn't have sufficient funding for the demand, as well as some of our other human service grant programs, and so those could be service additions. Staffing for health and environment, believe you heard from open space folks looking for some additional conservation help. You heard from Council on Aging about staffing for Council on Aging. They had a couple requests, and not to speak for them, but we currently do have the hybrid program coordinator being covered by the Friends and is on staff. So this request would be to continue that part-time position. And then they have a second request, which is a new position. Recreation, Jackie, I believe, has spoken about this, where we've added the preschool program. Not preschool program.
The after-school.
After-school program. So a
And
significant program.
Full-day summer program.
And didn't add any staff at that time.
So quick question to interrupt here, sorry. The after-school program, do we fill up? Is there a wait list?
Yes, that's the problem. So now we're getting complaints from parents who want to, they want it to be available to their children, and we don't have enough staffing, even with part-time fill-in staff. We don't have enough staffing to increase the numbers. So every year we try and expand it as much as possible, and usually we can get every child served by October 1st. Usually the month of September is kind of a sort-out period, and then in October she can get everyone served, but not always for the amount of days they need or want. So it's been a challenge for the past few years because we didn't add staff when we added that program. We just... and then the other thing we did is we switched from a half-day summer program to a full-day program. Again, for parents who are working, these are essential services, so.
And is recreation's request for a full-time position or a part-time position?
Well, I think they would love a full-time FTE, but I think we could negotiate that, certainly, or have a shared position between rec and COA, too.
Shared position would be great, because then you're offering full-time still.
And then we also heard from the Eastham Elementary School Committee. They're considering requests from some of their constituents about having a school resource officer at the elementary school, which might not be a full amount of work for that type of position. But the chief has some other needs, and thinking of if that were to move forward, combining that with a victim services advocate that could work out of the elementary school. So that's a work in progress, and we would be asking the elementary school committee probably for their recommendation before we were to add that. Jamie?
Does any other elementary school have a resource officer?
Not that we're aware of, no.
So it's not the standard.
No.
It seems,
Dennis is the only one who's moving towards it now.
yeah.
There was an incident in Falmouth, and I think that caused some
Exactly.
concern.
Okay.
And it's come up at the Brewster School Committee.
I would be more
Meeting.
interested to hear from parents on whether they'd like to, if this is a situation of like juggling services, right? Where are our priorities? Are we looking at expanding after-school services so that people can have childcare? Or are we looking at putting a resource officer in the elementary school? And I think that I have a pretty good idea on what I think I would hear from parents. As much as I have a lot of respect for our school committee, that's, 5 people?
And they haven't taken it up yet, actually. They're going to be
So-
discussing it.
I would be more inclined if this really came down to a serious push from them. I'd really kind of push back on that.
Well, that's why I'm putting it on the table. That's why you get an update, so you
No,
get a
thank
taste
you.
of it.
Yeah.
And what I would anticipate is as we go through the next few months. You may keep the list, but now define it a little bit more detailed as to what it actually is and have a cost assigned to it, or whittle down the list as the case may be, so.
Thanks, Rich.
And then the final thing here is, we still need to provide for wastewater costs. Kind of a, you know, hindsight's 20/20, I guess, but who knew that we were gonna get an 85% support for the wastewater project? So at that time, we asked for the debt exclusion for the project, but not an override for the $1.5 million of operating costs. So
Even
it's-
though we talked about it at town meeting and it was included in the financial projections, we didn't actually ask
for the-
for it.
So we don't need it yet, but I would like to have the capacity
Authorization, yeah.
before we need it, so that when we do need it, it's there and we can just execute. Which brings me to the second page, the back page. So what might all this look like? At the moment, and this is why I'm presenting it to you, if you have any feedback, either tonight or in the future, let us know. But we'll have an operating budget article, and that article will present our current level service budget with a 3% provision for the schools, and it's balanced. And my thinking right now is we ought to pass that budget at town meeting, let everybody know that we will need an override for the additional school costs that come in over the 3%, but not make it contingent upon the override. And the reason for that is if you make it contingent upon the override, and then the override fails at the ballot, then you have no budget. And you need to call a special town meeting and come up with a new budget. Alternatively, you could have a proposed budget with the override and a contingent budget if it doesn't pass. But that gets awful, and it's a tough way to go. It's tough on the staff, it's tough on the community. Because you're telling people who's going to be let go
Fired,
if things don't pass. So we have some flexibility within our situation here, and that flexibility is the short-term rental money. So what I'm suggesting that we would do in this is, we hope that the override passes, but if it doesn't, hopefully the additional amount that the schools need is not more than $1.2, $1.3 million, because if it is that amount of money and the override doesn't pass, we can use the short-term rental money to balance that budget. Because we really have no choice but to pay the school assessment once it's assessed to us, unless we get another town to join in on us to vote down the budget. That does obviously impact our wastewater funding plan, and so it is excluded debt, so we can still raise the taxes to pay for that debt. But it impacts, how we funding wastewater.
Has the region hired a new finance director?
No.
Who's doing their budget?
I don't know.
They have the part-time person,
They do have a contractor.
experienced contractor doing it right now.
So that's kind of the plan for the operating budget. It would require an override, likely would require an override for additional educational costs, which would be added to a general override ballot question. Our second town meeting article would be to ratify collective bargaining agreements and the funding required to fund them for the 3 years of the contract. That too, this would be contingent upon an override passing.
Totally.
But this amount of money would be added to the general override with the education, have a ballot question, because that represents everything we need for our balanced budget, our level service budget, with the new agreements, with new assessments from the school district. If that ballot question were to fail, again, we still have an actual budget that we can move forward with, and we could still move forward with our staff, because we'd still be paying them on the old FY26 contracts. Inevitably, though, we would have to have settled contracts. We'd have to go back to the bargaining table and say, listen, the override didn't pass. Can we do anything to make this better? And then we would get to something better, hopefully, but it would still be more than we have, so we'd still have to come back, have another town meeting, and have another ballot question. Because we don't have the capacity. I mean, I guess at that point, response then would go to a subsequent town meeting with, here's what it looks like if you pass the override, and at that point, we would have a contingent budget showing, and here's the reductions that would happen to our budget and our staffing if it doesn't happen. And then finally, or not finally, Article 3, Budget Article 3 for town meeting would be any of these supplemental items that you might want to consider, and that's what we have to flesh out over the next few months. Do you want to consider them? Do you want to put them on the ballot? I'm envisioning that this would be one question, but each with its own line item. And we could, vote them as a slate or vote them individually. People can pull them out and discuss them individually if they want. But it's really your call, it's your warrant to add what you want of these items to be on that warrant.
If we wanted to do them separately at town meeting, we would have to, there have to be separate ballot questions for when they vote
You're in my next section
2
here, Joy.
weeks. Oh,
It's a
okay.
good question.
Never mind. Go ahead.
So you could do a town meeting, you could do it separate, or you could do them together, or you could combine some of them together, however you want to do it. But when you get to the ballot potentially would have 3 or more override questions. The first being the general override for collective bargaining and education. The second, perhaps, and again, this is, we're looking for your feedback, should we just ask for the $1.5 million for wastewater now? Just get it all on the table and ask people to vote on it? If they gave us that capacity, we don't need it this fiscal year, but I probably will need it next year, some piece of it. So it's incumbent on us to steward that 1.5 million, just like we do steward the 3 years of the collective bargaining agreements, and not use it for other things, so that when we need it in year 2 and year 3, it's available for us to use.
So we'd be asking for the authority to raise it, but we wouldn't be raising it. So it wouldn't go on the tax levy right away.
In the second year out, perhaps we would need some, but not the full 1.5. So we steward it, and you only implement it and use it when it's needed for wastewater.
By stewarding it, you mean we wouldn't ask for it? We wouldn't have the funds, we just say that we're going to hold the authority over here and not use it for this?
That's right.
Okay.
Rich, are we going to get something like this at this level that assigns some numbers, dollars to some of this, or do we need to go under the hood?
Oh, yeah,
Some
that's
of
a
the
while. I think that's going to be a little
Yeah.
bit.
I just have a real hard time looking at adding to staff when we've got so many other things, and particularly the big unknowns with this collective bargaining going on.
Yep.
With 3, what is it? It's 3 entities, correct? It's fire, police, and
5.
5.
5. Okay, so I mean, it's almost a fool's errand for me to be looking at this without knowing what looks like
Right.
what.
Well, that's why I just wanted to give you the primer.
No one's asking you for a decision.
Right,
and
I'm just-
we will have absolute details by the time we do ask you for a decision, but it's really important to get the lay of the land.
Yeah.
You don't want to be, we don't want to be talking to you in April and asking for things and have you say, oh my God, where did that come from?
Yeah, Bob, just to give a little, this is pretty early for us to receive this information in the big scheme of things. And I was actually going to thank you for it, because normally we don't get kind of a broad overview like this early. And so it doesn't surprise me that we don't see any of the nitty-gritty details to it. It's just kind of these broad sweep, something to consider as we start to step forward. It's kind of like the first exposure to all of this. So now we've seen it, and now it'll become more and more tailored as we walk down this path, and things will start to fall off the sides. But this is kind of everything that I imagine you're looking at right now.
This is the entirety of what we think could be impactful to the
Could
budget.
be.
Right.
So it's just going to go down from here, but.
And you have had presentations like the COA saying,
They
we
wanted
need
somebody-
2
that's
people,
right.
so we're keeping track of all those requests right now.
I get you, that's fine, I'm just saying it's a swirl at this point.
It is.
It's frightening, but it's also, we're also doing it in a public meeting so that
Everyone knows.
everyone now knows, we're not looking at things coming up that are pleasant, totally pleasant. One crazy question, do we have any numbers from Cape Cod Tech? Did with our numbers of the region going up, did Cape Cod Tech go down? Maybe.
I don't think they went down,
Go down.
but just a nominal change in their budget is so minuscule.
They're so
we're
small, it's not there.
Participation in the overall district. is
I've
not
also
enough.
heard that the tech schools, the state changed the rules, that it's now 100% lottery to get into them.
But,
I'm not sure if that, because before it was applications, but now it's, I mean, and they would go through it, admit some and not admit others. Now it may all be straight lottery. Anyway,
My last thing here, Jerry, was on that bottom of the sheet, ballot override questions. So the third, or perhaps more than three, however you choose to do it, would be any supplemental services. You could ask
Yep.
for all the things you're asking for in one article, or you could have them itemized one by one. And I just want to add that just currently, so just to, this will be a tough year because everything is getting expensive, our staff especially, and that's the nature of where we are in the world at the end of the armpit. But we're trying to maintain competitiveness, and they're valuable assets to us in our community. And we're the backstop now. There's not a lot of outside aid coming in from the federal government. The state is a report out from the Mass Municipal Association on the effects of Proposition 2.5 and how the state hasn't stepped up over the years with increasing state aid proportionately. So we are the community, and one of my goals here, one of my goals tonight was really just to socialize this message that it's a tough year. But as we move forward, want to really indicate the things that we are in our control and the things that aren't. And the things that are in our control, I think we do pretty well, and want to highlight, especially with our department heads, the services that you're getting for those things. It's important that people know if you want that level of service, this is the cost of doing business. All that being said, the balanced budget, which I know theoretically isn't balanced because we got to add collective bargaining and schools to it, but at the moment is less than a 2% increase. It's somewhere between $100 and $150 if we could go with that budget. So adding, some amount of money in overrides obviously does increase the cost, but we're starting at a low spot, so.
Suzanne, you want to say something?
I have a question and then a comment. So the question is the timeline on how long collective bargaining takes, like when you anticipate that process being complete?
It's hard to say. We started, and
Yeah.
we've been aggressive with meeting dates.
Right.
So we have meetings every week with
Oh.
at least one of the five.
Okay.
And we're trying to progress them along. But it takes two sides, and two sides got to negotiate, and two sides have to agree. And rightfully so, they're asking for a lot, and we're trying to ask them to justify it and trying to let them see our point. We're trying to get something out of it as well, so that we can go to town meeting and say, listen, it costs a lot, but
Like-
here's what we're getting, the benefit we're getting by agreeing with them.
March, January,
Other-
February?
So generally speaking, Eastham has agreed on all their contracts going into town meeting. So we would know for town meeting exactly what the numbers were.
Okay.
And if
But
we didn't,
that
we could
is-
also provide a placeholder.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But that's, many towns don't do that. I know Truro had one where they had a two-year negotiation period. Chatham has done that several times. We've never done that. But this is going to be a really tough year. It's a tough year for both sides.
Yeah. I think about this a lot, and I think about taxes a lot, and my one, I might say this more than once, but my little pep talk is when I talk to most people, the things that they want their taxes spent on are like these sorts of tangible services that impact the community, and we have such a transparent tax process. Like, you can come and look at our budget, and these are our neighbors doing these jobs. Like, this is an employer for the community. This is education for our children, and I'm not saying that having a tax increase isn't a financial burden, but it is a very direct, you can see where the tax dollars go, and it reflects the values of our community in that. And so I'm gonna carry that with me and probably say it more than once as we move through this. And I do really value the fact that our community does continue to support education in the way that it does and support our town services and values the COA and the library and the beaches. And, you know, it's nice to live in a town that values those things, so.
Taxes do purchase something, and that's what it is. That's one of the things that I want to, just a gut feeling from Jerry for all of you to think on, because I'm not wedded to it. I'm much more in favor of significant number of override questions so that the town citizens will have the right to pick, will have the ability to pick and choose, not put it together all as one, so it's an up and down plebiscite, just as, but that gets to be confusing as well as you go to education. So I want to look at it. I'm glad you set this up with some of those ideas, Rich and Jackie, and when we come to it, I'm not sure where I want to go. I'd like
You
people
don't
to
have to
say
be
yes
sure,
or
yeah.
no. But,
And I agree, Jerry. I think what Rich has tried to do, at least in setting it up for me and in our discussions, is what is essential? What can we live with even if none of the overrides pass, right? So what's essential? What is really necessary? What are the state mandates that are honestly really necessary, because I don't know how we do them without more staff? And then what is really discretionary, so that people can choose? And,
Right.
you know, as Bob said, you know, all additional staffing is discretionary unless it's a mandated
right,
position.
yeah.
So,
I agree. I just think it's good to let the citizens understand and have some meaningful choice in what they want to do vis-a-vis some of the overrides,
Yes.
especially your supplemental questions.
Chair, I just want to chime
Yes,
in on
Bob.
this. Yeah, just from my angle of entry on this, I think that the educational aspect of the budget, that's like the social contract, you know, to me. I mean, our parents paid for all of this when we were coming up, and now it's our turn. And to me, that is just the way it works.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about discretionary, to me, that's not discretionary.
Yeah, he's got it in general, Bob's got, Bob, yeah, you're Bob.
that's kinda how we've
Rich has
stacked.
Rich has it in the general override question.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for the state mandated inspectional services, we had discussed a little bit having fees cover some of that, but would it be easier to put it in to an override as an extra staff person and then have fees cover part of it?
Maybe the fees cover it all, maybe they don't, but generally, you don't know that in year one, and it takes
Right.
time to phase the fees in, so
Okay.
the conservative approach is to override the amount, get
Okay.
the fees, and then when the fees prove themselves, you
Right.
can use that to reduce it in the next year.
And yeah, and the purpose of making that an override is because it certainly wouldn't be fair to add a new position that we couldn't afford and then have to let someone go
Right,
who's held a position
right,
and that this community's already voted on.
okay.
All right. Well, thank you. Any other questions for Rich? Huh. Glad we had this
gonna be
meeting after
okay.
my Thanksgiving meal.
It's going to be okay. We've gotten through all the other budgets. We made it through
made it
COVID.
through.
We
That's
made
right.
it through a lot of things.
Made it through
It's
a
gonna
lot of
be
stuff.
fine.
All right, I think the next thing we're on is the town manager search, and Lori, you sent us,
Look at how patient she's been all this time.
I know, well, she likes to see where we get a feel of where we are so that we won't jump on her too hard. So go ahead. As I looked at your proposal, as we discussed last meeting to go forward, or 2 meetings ago, I think, to go forward with, first with the in-house candidates as we look at it, and now that closed, and we now have there was one application, and kind of set up the process to go forward. The only question, and it looks fine from me, and others can come and talk. The only question I had, thinking about it, was the transition period, which you had in here, if we do go forward and with an in-house candidate, of January 20th to March 31 that you kind of suggest. I know this is our guideline. One of the things that you want to try and do when you have a transition is to allow the current office holder a glide path out. They tried that in where I was, and for some reason it didn't work, and it was kind of a cliff out, and that was not the best for the organization.
That's what Jackie wants, a cliff.
Jackie wants a cliff. She
No, I
wants to go.
want
She
April.
wants to drive. She
April
should
and
drive
May
that
are the
convertible over the
glide
cliff.
paths.
Pardon?
April and May would be my glide path, except there's a town
Meeting
meeting
in May, yes.
with 116 overrides.
Yes, no, so I think that as we look at this, I mean, this is a suggestion, and we can look at it. I think if we do go this path, one of the things that we would have to do as a select board looking at it is take a hard look at the transition period and what we want to do with it, with you leaving in the beginning of June and the beginning of May being the town meeting, and how we would want any of that to happen. Even if we go with someone outside, how do we want to work your path to the door,
Okay, I won't.
Can we
being nice?
look at the closer dates timeline before we get
Yes,
to the end
yeah,
of
no,
the
no,
dates
I just,
Jerry's always
You don't
worrying
wanna
about
go
it.
I was
I'm
like,
looking-
I'm sorry, you want me to make an appointment in the next 2 weeks
Yes.
to do something? And
Yes.
that's,
yes, yes.
and
those
then
are-
also you
those
want me to
votes.
make a
No,
decision
I
in
said the
2 weeks?
beginning ones
Oh,
for
my
me
God.
were okay, so go ahead. Now we're open up, others can speak. I'll let the vice chair go next. Go ahead.
I was just gonna let you introduce it, and then I was gonna
Yeah.
have questions about the timeline. I had a specific question, but you can, I don't know.
Well, I think the question looking on here, do you like first step for us would be a meeting, each one of us separately meeting with the candidate, Rich, to,
No need to beat around the
between
bush.
now and the 12th or so of, or between now and our next meeting, which is the 15th of December.
Right.
Is that doable for us? I know we're in you're in this short holiday period, as Thanksgiving was the latest it could possibly be, but is that something that's good for, and that's each individual, is that doable?
It could be a phone meeting too, or, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be in person, but I don't see an issue.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't have to be, and actually, I don't think it's required that you even have a meeting if you don't feel like it, because we're going to have an open meeting with whichever seat has the trap door is where Rich will sit, and we will have open meeting with questions, discussion, and so forth.
Just giving us the opportunity in the next 3 weeks, 2 weeks to sit down if we want to.
If you
Yeah.
want to,
Yeah.
yes.
And you could certainly do that after
Yeah.
the 15th. It's not, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, so, okay, so it said individual interviews. I don't personally feel prepared to do an interview and would love some support from somebody on that, if that's,
So this is not an interview per se.
okay.
This would be, I would hope, a time when you guys would not necessarily worry about interview questions, because we're going to have a time for that, as Jerry said. But really candid, if you have candid concerns, if you're worried about the future, if you want to ask Rich specific questions, and an opportunity to get to know him in a different way. So I would say make it as casual as possible.
Okay.
You know, off-site, have coffee, take a walk, you know, meet somewhere else, and just, you know, take a little bit of time to do that.
Okay, and then the public interview says December 15th, and then it
I
reads.
think we'd like to put that off a little bit.
I was gonna, that's one of the things of, yeah, how soon, I mean, you
Okay.
want to have the public interview sooner rather than later, in case you have to have the possibility of, no, we want to look outside, and you have to have time to do that. So I think that's, Lori probably put this together with that in mind. The 15th might be too soon, and you push it off to the second meeting in January. I don't know if you do it right after January 1st, but
And it doesn't
something
have
like
to
that.
be at a regular meeting. We can also schedule,
Schedule a
set
meeting.
aside an hour or an hour and a half.
But it has to be a public meeting, open to the public, recorded.
That's
minutes,
correct.
Et
So
cetera.
public interviews, what would that look like?
Public interview.
It would, yeah, it would look
It's
like,
a public session, it would be a meeting like this,
you could send any
That's it.
potential questions you have to Lori. Lori and I will look at those questions and sort of help you suggest a menu of questions.
It's like meet the candidate.
Yeah, once you've settled on, once we've figured out what the questions are, then I would suggest we give them to the candidate, because that has been the practice in the past. And then we schedule a time. But it does have to be a posted meeting.
Posted meeting, and,
Can the public ask questions?
No,
no, this
Okay.
would be just
I
our
saw
meeting.
public, and I was like, ooh.
Well, it has
It
to be
just
public
occurs in
in the
public.
sense that it's be open to the public, they can sit in and watch. And,
Totally get it.
and even if we have prepared questions, you always have to have the ability for a follow-up. If an answer to the prepared questions brings up another item in your
Sure.
mind, you ask it. So it really is, it's not a grilling, but in some ways it turns out to be, you're asking questions, can be pointed questions about things and getting a response. I don't know, we could even decide, I guess it's mostly my decision, whether or not you would like to give the candidate the opportunity to make an opening statement or not. And I think my view is you always give that opportunity if they so desire. But, and go forward, I think December 15th might be a bit soon. It also might be more of a difficult time even for public if they wanted to come, because you're right in the middle of a busy holiday season. As I said, it's a shorter one, as shortest it could be. So maybe we do it in January, and I think January would be enough time if we decide we want to go in a different direction, that we still have some time before before the town meeting. So there's some time.
You don't think 2 weeks is enough time to
I
set up
mean-
for the public interview? I mean,
No, we were just saying that it's difficult, we could set it up, but the thought is, it is a difficult time for the public to,
to witness
Watch.
it, I mean, it's filmed,
Yeah.
it's
Well, to-
online,
Well-
it's,
I think
you
it's
know,
more a
broadcast.
difficult time for us, because we are
We're doing the work.
trying to hone in on the budget. Your budget presentation is mandated by the charter as the first meeting in January.
Right.
So there's a lot of work between now and January. It's a holiday period for the public, but it certainly isn't for the finance
Right.
director.
Well, our first meeting in January is the 5th.
The 5th.
Which is
Yeah.
pretty,
The 5th?
yeah. So we could bump it to that.
Yeah,
Or right after that. You could do it, you know.
yeah.
Could be a meeting it's not a,
We could just make the interview be the budget hearing.
we could, yeah. No, we could, it could be that we just have a separate called meeting for this so that it doesn't interfere with whatever business we have to do. We just get that done on January 5th and January 7th or something we have.
Yes. Okay.
And
I mean, that actually, I'm thinking off the top of my head, which is dangerous, but that probably is a better thought, that we just we have a meeting that is just the interview, no other town business.
And in terms of publicizing it, I would like to invite the public to sit in and watch it. And 2 weeks, I don't necessarily think is a super appropriate amount of time to inform the public that we're going to do it and then do it and have it come into their schedule. I would rather there be more lead time that we can put out
But it
on
is
the
taped,
website.
Suzanne, so anyone can watch it. You can go
No.
back and watch mine.
And
No,
we-
I
And
know.
we've tossed
I
this
just-
date out previously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, it's a hard time to grab the public's attention because it is the holidays and we do ask a lot of the public
Well, it
to like
seemed-
pay attention to so many
Yeah, it
things
seems like we're
and,
leaning toward January then, right?
yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, Jan,
what if we,
do we think a separate meeting, does that,
Yeah.
that make some sense? I think that makes some sense. I mean, we
Agreed.
could even
Yeah,
do
I
a
think
separate
that's
meeting
fine.
if you want to do it after December 15th, but it's probably,
no, I
Probably.
don't think between December 15th
Yeah.
and January 5th, we should be adding anything to anyone's plate.
right. So, what,
Yeah, so then, do we want to
Look-
pick
look at
dates?
calendar- yeah,
Make an
let-
agenda item for the 15th where we
Pick
finalize
dates,
dates?
yeah.
yeah, we'll have an agenda, so come prepared for with your calendars to see what day,
But
other than January
between
5th,
now
you'd
and
like
the
to do.
15th, if we do want to sit with Rich.
Rich, we should do that.
Yes. And
be prepared
Erica
with
can
Rich.
help schedule stuff if you need it, and we can also send out some kind of doodle poll for the first 2 weeks in January to get a sense of
Good
the
idea.
5 of you, and
Right.
Yeah,
so that we go into the 15th with some idea
No,
of
what the good dates are, yeah.
what the good dates might be.
Okay, I like that.
Lori, on this, conduct public interviews and meet and greet, but that's basically a meet and greet for us to meet the candidate and greet the candidate, because it's not a public meeting. It's not for the public.
Well, it's a public meeting, so,
And I think we want to do meet and greets once you've made a
Made a
decision.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a separate,
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
down, yeah.
that's further down too, yeah.
Yeah.
Scheduled community and community committee meet and greets, yeah, with all the committees, et cetera.
Yeah.
The other point that I think we need to consider, I don't think we need to decide it tonight, contract negotiations. So that's a negotiation between us and the candidate. My view is, I guess we could, that would likely be an exception, but we should probably just have one or two of us there for negotiations. Your thought on that, Jackie, and your thought on it, Lori?
Yeah, normally it's the chair, or the chair and the vice chair.
All right.
And then you do an executive session for the whole
For the whole
contract.
thing, yeah,
Get back,
yeah.
yeah.
so for the transition period is, not looking at the dates, is the expectation that the person would be hired in that role? And then that would have, or are we doing a softer landing?
Yeah, I would think you'd make an offer
Okay,
and then negotiate a contract beginning a date certain.
okay. And that could, but the transition period is expected to be both of the people on,
Yeah,
Yeah.
hired in
yeah.
the role? Okay. And the expectation for our public interview is that by the end of it, we will discuss and then make a decision about moving forward or not?
Yes.
Okay.
And usually, you do that in public.
Yeah, so, so,
And then after we make a decision and have a well, it's not just our decision, you have to have a contract signed. I mean, asking Rich to work for $1 a year, he might not want to sign on, but the, then you would have community meet and greet, committee meet and greets. After we've made the decision and there's a contract signed, whether or not that's the date of when transition starts or not, doesn't matter. You want to start getting this out to the public.
I think the overlap period, the transition period is huge because given where we are with our candidates internally, we're going to need another finance director.
Right. There's a lot of stuff that has to go on, finance director, another assistant town manager as well. Could be the same person, may not. But those are
So I like the
things-
lengthier
transition period, yeah. And I think the hiring of the assistant town, the finance director and/or assistant town manager or a joint so forth is not our decision. It's
No,
the town manager's decision, and
Right.
we'll have to work the transition period if it's there of whose decision it is. Which person is making that decision?
Well, I do think that once you have offered the position to the next person, then it would be my intention to defer any decisions, any future decisions to that person. So it's not like I won't be here and we won't talk about things and I won't be at town meeting as my final town meeting as town manager, but I certainly wouldn't step in and say, let's hire so-and-so even though you want so-and-so. See what I'm saying?
I understand, yes, yeah, yes.
And I think, in this scenario, we're fine.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right, we're set. So here's what we have. Hopefully, before our next meeting, if we want to speak with Rich individually, we shall. At the next meeting, we will set up a time for a called select board meeting sometime in early January,
Mid to early January.
early to mid-January. And that would be the time for the public interview of the candidate.
The formal interview, yeah.
Formal public interview of the candidate, after which we might make a decision then, or think about it, come back and make a decision, but make a decision then with an offer. At that point, I think, would be when you start negotiations, not before. Am I right on that, Lori? That would be the time we would do it. And we will go forth there. If we get a contract, we do that, and then hopefully, well, part of our interview process most likely would be, what are you gonna do about these other positions here? But whatever the case, that's how we'll do. So I think those are the steps. Does that make sense? We okay with that? I mean, otherwise, I'm open. I'm not pushing a certain timeline here.
All we've done is move the public discourse to, early to mid-January.
Early in January, and now the public is, hopefully, is aware of what we're doing, and it's going to happen, and so, all right. Anything else, anybody have anything to ask Lori, ask Jackie, or Rich on this process? Listen, thank you.
Lori, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
Oh, yeah.
Just if you want to start sending questions.
Okay.
We'll work on putting them together cohesively. You
Right.
may have similar thoughts, so we can clump things together.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And,
That's good.
do you have questions from
the past?
From the past.
Yeah, no
Message you
worries.
can
We have
send out?
tons of questions.
Yeah, yeah, if you could send those, so, because I just went, oh, I've never asked a question in my life, which is not true, but, you know, you're like, what's for dinner? And you're like, I don't know.
Roll the
Never
dice.
eaten
What'd you
before.
have for breakfast? Oh, that's good.
All right. Lori, thank you for moving us along. That was always an angst I had at the beginning of my term, is that we're going to be running crazy in April and May to hire someone, and
It's going to be fine.
we have a good setup, and I do think a glide path is the way we want to go for this going out. So thank you.
You gave us an aggressive timeline, and then we went, whoa, 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 whoa.
That's all right.
That was mine because of Jerry's worries.
No,
That's right. It's my-
I
I'll
also
take-
shared
I'll
his
take the heat
worries,
on
so.
I'll take the heat on that one. That's my,
No, I'm into it. Yeah.
I just didn't want to have that messed up. We don't want to be rushed into decision as June comes faster than we think.
Have an intern.
It's December already. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's already
We have been
December.
talking about it.
How many days do you have left, Amy?
You know, I should start that countdown day.
Your countdown days, the short timer calendar?
The 19th of May. I know.
It's like 27 weeks, something like that. I'm keeping track.
Have to stand on a dime to look over a nickel, right? Remember those days? Anyway,
Hers
be
is
that as
shorter
it
than
may.
mine.
Yeah, the town
I
manager's.
have 32, she is.
The town- But who's counting? The
Who's
town
counting?
manager's report.
So it's exciting to be able to give you the HR update, at least for a second, that we were fully staffed. Except for a couple of, positions that are sort of in formation. The communications scene, I think, is really been well received by the public. They are loving the podcast, and it is now available on YouTube and via Spotify.
How do you get to it? How do I go to the webpage? How do I get to that podcast from the Eastham?
You go to
Town webpage?
YouTube and you
Town
Go to
YouTube
YouTube.
channel.
you just go to YouTube and Google it in the search.
You can
If you
also
if
Google
you
it.
just Google Eastham, you'll get all of the
All the
select board
stuff.
meetings and, yeah.
All right, it might be nice to have a link on the,
I don't think,
On the
I think we
page. You can't
tried.
do it?
I-
It is.
Didn't
I
work?
think if
Get
you
a-
go to.
well, we have a link on
If
our,
you go to meeting videos, there's the YouTube channel right there. You can subscribe to it right on the meeting videos.
But I'm not sure it works.
I think it does, and
Okay.
we can also get one right on the homepage for a bit of time, just to,
Yeah, to
Yeah.
encourage people.
Yep,
Direct
it
to
goes
that
right
might,
to it.
they're good, but.
They're very good.
Make it easier for people to get to. Sorry to interrupt, Jackie.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
no.
It works. I just tried it.
Okay, good. And we're doing, she's, in addition to the podcast, we're still doing a lot of outreach via all the social media and some print stuff. So I think it's working out really well. Another big highlight is we have secured 3 year-round rentals and lease to locals. So those are all brand new
That's 3, that's good.
rentals. So 3 is something, considering, we didn't have 3 before.
We all got our postcard.
Those were great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the postcard. you're
And
right.
the big news has been, of course, this new mandate from the state about the building inspections for short-term rentals. That has caused quite a kerfuffle. But I think we have done a decent job at this point of not only sending out the information to all the people who've previously registered, but we're now, directly sending to the list of people that are on that are on wells as opposed to town water, so that they can they know that they can start their application and then do their water tests later when they get here. So I would encourage anyone, if you're listening and you got the short-term rental registration and you're like, how am I going to do this by the end of January? You just have to start the application so we know you're there, and that will be a placeholder for us to then begin to schedule water tests and inspections and things like that. And there's an open house regarding the Cable Road Multi-Use Path Project in Eastham. December 16th from 6 to 7 at Saw Pond Visitor Center. Again, it's an odd time, but I think they're trying to move along with their capital projects too. So short, but there's some
That's
good
good.
stuff in there.
Under communications, would you, for the Turn It Up podcast, would you want it under latest news, maybe?
Sure.
Mostly just because,
On the website, yeah.
on the website, yeah,
Yeah.
because,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I hit meeting videos one, right?
Yeah.
No, just as like when people come to the landing page of the website and they like scroll around, it'll be like the first thing
Right.
that's up there, since.
Okay,
That's good.
good
Yeah,
idea.
I mean, you could pick any other of you could pick the police accreditation if you want, I don't know. Just, 'cause that one was from September, so if you added another, it would.
All right. Back to any hold other business or correspond, oh, we'll do minutes. Oh, wait a minute, my mistake. Upcoming agenda items, anybody have anything other than we know what we're doing on December 15?
Sounds like
Amy?
I think I gave Jackie's about the
Recycling.
recycling committee charge for next week, next meeting.
That's looking
Okay.
good, we're just putting it in the
New charge.
format.
Format.
Okay, good. That's fine, we'll add that on. Anything else? No? Okay, minutes, November 17th. I had just one suggested change. Instead, co-chair, you had co-chair for Suzanne, it should be vice chair.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Chairman or
abstain just
chair or
'cause I
vice?
didn't watch the meeting.
Which one?
I'm being honest.
The 17th, that's okay.
I also haven't gotten to it.
All right, so do I have a motion
Me and the boys, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of
With that-
November 17th.
Second.
with that change?
With that
That
change. Vice Chair.
Any further discussions? Well, we've got all in favor? Aye. Noes? Abstentions? 2 abstentions.
I think Suzanne is too.
Yeah, I mean,
That's okay.
I'll vote on the minutes. The minutes look good.
Oh, you want to vote yes? Okay,
Yeah.
4 zip, all right. Because even though you weren't there, you can watch it and stuff. All right, next item
Could I change what happened?
is any other business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any further discussion? You're fast, Amy. None? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? We're adjourned.